In the closed beta of the finals there was a lot of movement that is now missing from the released version. I'm not even talking about zipline super jumping or prop surfing, but about changes to intended core movement tech. For now I'm focusing on sliding and how it's way more complicated for some reason. And because of reworks to its friction values, makes the entire movement system less momentum based. For the first few matches I was very confused why I sometimes couldn't land in a slide. I will explain the convoluted mess that is sliding right now and then put it into the proper context of the movement critique that has been going on in the community. After some testing I figured out that you need to be in a sprint state to be able to slide. No matter how much prior speed or momentum you have or on what kind of slope you land, if you're not in a sprint state when landing, you will not slide and just skid along the ground for a few feet. This is not how it behaved in the closed beta, where just holding crouch would always ensure that you would slide. Because of that sprint limitation in the finals, I highly recommend to put sprint on toggle and crouch on hold. After my following explanation, this will make so much sense, because thankfully the game keeps the sprint toggled on through a lot of actions. If you toggle sprint into a zipline, you can jump off, slide off a building and land in a slide, and the game will keep you in a sprint state the whole way through. And the same goes for a grapple or a jump pad. If you sprinted while grappling, the game will remember that. And you can toggle on the sprint throughout a lot of actions as well. You can toggle it on while riding a zipline, while still connected to the grapple, and while being mid-air. You also cannot toggle off a sprint by hitting your sprint button again. Once toggled on, it will stay on. So a habit I've already started to pick up is that no matter if I sprinted into a movement tool or not, I will instinctively hit sprint again, just to make sure I am in a sprint state and will be able to slide upon landing. If you have sprint on hold, you will need to hold both crouch and sprint into the slide. For most mouse and keyboard users, that's a very strange and unusual finger position. Okay, but could I theoretically put crouch on toggle? Please don't. Because while sprint stays toggled on throughout a lot of actions, crouch does not. Everything resets it. With crouch on toggle, you would have to toggle it on to slide into a jump pad, toggle it back on to land in a slide, and toggle it back on for a second slide. So please, for your own sanity, put sprint on toggle and crouch on hold. After we now sorted that whole mess out, let me hit you with a second caveat. You cannot sprint sideways or backwards. Even though it looks like that when you have sprint on hold, but that only seems to be an animation bug. This also means you won't be able to land in a sideways or backward slide. At least not entirely. If you let go of all directional inputs, you won't sprint. No slide. If you hold backwards as you land, you won't sprint. No slide. If you only hit the sprint button without holding forward, the sprint will not activate. No slide. And because holding forward will take away momentum while going backwards, you have to make it way more complicated. Land in a forward slide, let go of forward, turn around. Or only turn around just before you're about to land. The best method is to freely turn around mid-air without a directional input and then initiate a sprint just before you're about to land. So in the most extreme case, it would be hold forward and toggle on sprint to run over a jump pad. Hold crouch to slide. Let go forward to not lose momentum and turn around. Hold forward and toggle sprint back on. Let go forward to not lose momentum. Hold forward and toggle sprint back on. Let go forward to not lose momentum. When in the closed beta of the finals or other games like Apex, it is hold forward and toggle on sprint. Hold crouch to slide into the jump pad. Let go forward and keep holding crouch. So why does it have to be like this? I truly do not understand why they had to switch to this convoluted system when they had figured it out in the closed beta. Speaking of, I wanted to point out that my point of reference in the finals is the closed beta I participated in March and made a video on. I didn't have time to play the open beta. Embark, the developer of the finals, have recently addressed negative reviews complaining about the slower movement. And I think Embark are mostly justified in what they are saying here. The overwhelming majority of players, probably 99%, only got to experience the open beta. And if there really weren't any changes to the movement system since then, which I can't verify, then the complaints about changed and slowed down movement are mostly unfounded. And like Embark said, likely down to the field of view and animations simply messing with the perception of people. But that's not me. I'm criticizing the movement compared to the closed beta. And in the closed beta, sliding worked with a single crouch hold, which felt way more intuitive. The friction values of the slide are also very different now. It's kinda crazy looking back at the footage from the closed beta and realize how much momentum you could gain and keep with sliding, and then compare it to how it is now. The biggest difference is that sliding used to give you a speed boost and then slowly reduce speed with only a tiny bit of friction. You can best see this in these jump slides. Look at how much speed you would gain from just landing in a slide. Now friction is active from the moment you land in a slide. So not only do you not get a speed boost, but you start to lose momentum instantly and much quicker than in the closed beta. So not only is it slower, but makes the entire movement system less momentum based, which was an aspect I really liked in the closed beta. It's so bad that in many cases it's better to not even bother with sliding for momentum conservation and literally just use slideless bunny hopping where you don't have to worry about any sprint or directional input. Together with changes to jumping and sliding out of mantles, the core movement is slower in the now released version than in the closed beta. People saw footage and gameplay of that closed beta, and even though I think it contributes only a minor part to the public perception that movement is now slower, it can't be brushed aside completely. And yet, I think the only objectively negative criticism I can claim is the convoluted sprint into slide behavior, because the other changes might just be their vision for the game and can't be called objectively bad. They are the developers if they think they need to slow down some traversal to make the overall gameplay flow better or address complaints about people accidentally sliding off rooftops, which I saw in the feedback about the closed beta, then that's their call to make. I can personally disagree with that, and I would suspect that a lot of people watching this video also prefer the more fluid gameplay. But we are not the majority. I'd rather have more control that I need to master and learn to get good use out of it, rather than having a constricted system that I need to work around if I want more out of it. I'm not calling the finals a bad game because of those granular changes. There is a lot to love about this game. The hardest part of making this video was to strictly get footage of the slide sprint change. Instead of going, well, I could help with the objective just for one cash out. And then just playing the rest of the round, cause it's so fun. That's why I'm so passionate about and so detailed in my critique. I want as many people as possible to feel at home in the finals, and for the core movement system not to be an initial distractor to keep people from experiencing the rest of the game. I'm also not claiming that the movement system in its entirety is trash. The grapple and dashes feel great, that you get so much speed from jumping off ziplines, and that the jump height arc is based on the angle it's placed at are great mechanics. I just wanted to lend some perspective on why some critiques of the movement system being slower now are justified, and for now center that critique on the convoluted slide mechanic. This video was supposed to be something like 5 secret movement tricks for the finals, but after my findings it seemed unfitting to also put them in this video. I do have them and figured out some new stuff, at least I think. I also want to explain how to best use slide jumping and figure out when to slide and when to just b-hop for momentum conservation. I'll probably put all of them in the second video, so subscribe to not miss that. I also made a The Finals channel on my Discord and made a subreddit specifically about movement in the finals. Both linked down below. If someone from Ember is watching this, I'd love to talk about movement with you and loop you in with any additional things I find. Hit me up on Discord or Twitter. Okay, bye!